So, good morning. Happy Sunday, all. Happy weekend. It's me and the girl today. I've commandeered her favourite seat in the home. Sorry, I've got my cosy day duvet that has pride of place in the living room. That's just nice to snuggle up with when it's cold. And cheers, I've got hot ginger cordial because it's that kind of day. We've just come back from filming up on the fell, so I'm chilled to the bone, actually. I'm absolutely chilled to the bone. So I decided to make this video in sort of two halves. I began with the local woodland, literally just yards away from our home. I've never liked going in there. I've only been in a handful of times since I moved here 9 years ago, but I've never liked lingering down there. And then of course you hear stories. So a few people in the area, a few of our neighbours, some people up the lane have also said something about that place. Don't like taking the dog down there, or went for a walk down there and was really glad to leave. It just felt something just didn't feel right. So I'm really glad that I've made a bit more peace with it, because it is literally like I'm looking out now at the front of our home and I can see the woods. I can actually see the trees, and I've always looked over there with a sense of foreboding, and I'm glad to have made a bit of peace with the place. I think the first, it got me thinking. It actually inspired some thoughts about winter. So winter, as you may have watched some of my previous videos when this channel was Woodland Spirit, and I was teaching Qigong at the time. So I'm really interested in the 5 elements, and I think that fits really, really well with Druidry, with paganism, because you've got a 5-pointed pentacle. I'm no good with names. Don't tell anyone. So I think 5 elements goes really, really well. Kind of creates a bit of a pentagram. And winter is governed by the element of water. And when I first found out about that, when I first read about that, I couldn't really understand why it would be water, but energetically the movement of water is inward and downward. So like sap descends into the tree, the energy of plants descends into the root system below ground. The sun is lower in the sky. Water is very, very adaptable. So water really reveals to us not only its ability to adapt, but its tremendous power. Thinking about throughout history, thinking back through history, when we had the Ice Age and the melting of the ice, it carved out whole landscapes. It carved valleys. You know, it created streams, waterfalls. Thinking back to the Industrial Revolution, you know, as industry progressed, we used water to power wheels, steam to power engines. You know, we've really harnessed that power of water that is so yin. But then equally, it can be a really still element. You know, it obviously, water nurtures the ground through rain. What am I trying to say? You know, water can sink ships. Ice has destroyed great ships. But even in its liquid state, water adapts to whatever contains it. So whether that's a well, a spring, a fountain, a river, a waterfall, an ocean, a glass of water, you know, it comes in many, many forms, and it can be gushing and raging and full of energy and life force, but it can also be very, very still and deep. So I think this is one of the reasons why people find it really prohibitive down here, as though Mother Nature's kind of saying no, or some spirit of this place is saying no, don't come here, because there's so many, can you see, so many fallen trees that have been, well, they've started to block the path. And so I don't know, quite a lot of our neighbours have said it doesn't feel welcoming for that reason. Like Mother Nature or the spirits of the place are just saying no, don't come here.
Whoa.
You alright? So yeah, so we've got a bit of an obstruction here. Again, I suppose it's quite prohibitive if you maybe aren't the most mobile. Oh my god, what is that? Okay, that's okay. Interesting. It's a sense of human presence that's here. It's a bit, I don't know really.
Feel anything? Only the wind.
And the atmosphere?
No.
Doesn't feel spooky or creepy?
No, not at all. I think it's anything mysterious, the path's being blocked. I think the trees have just eroded and the strong winds have taken them down. They just happen to be falling across the path. So I don't think there's anything evil or any dark energies or any... I don't sense any of that.
One thing I do really feel about this place is that it just feels very neglected, unloved. I mean, I don't really like the look of that there. I kind of want to give this place some TLC, really.
It doesn't feel spooky at all or anything evil. But that's just me.
So, any unresolved pain or trauma that is held within the somatic mind, the body, the unconscious, can really upset the water element within us and within our lives. So fear can become a problem at this time of year. Anxiety can be a problem at this time of year. I could go more into the anatomy and the physiology of Chinese medicine linked with this element. If that's something that you want me to do, please post something in the comments. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Be careful.
Okay, wish me luck. Wish me luck. Oh gosh. This is multitasking at its finest. Crossing a beck, carrying a basket, and filming. Ah! Hey! That's carpet.
How lovely, someone's chucked the carpet down here.
Someone's left, is it underlay? Oh my god. This feels quite foreboding. I hope you can hear that. So it's over on the Sladeburn Road, going up from Waddington. It's between Waddington and Newton-in-Bowland. So you kind of head, you sort of turn at the higher buck and go up this bit of a fell. You get to a cattle grid, and it is fantastic view. There's absolutely fantastic scenery from up there. It's well worth stopping. There's a nice little forest walk as well. I have filmed there previously, which you can see. I'll try and remember to add those videos at the end so that you can see where that area is and what it looks like. So it's a great place for walking. There's a great view out towards Clitheroe on the one side, and then on the other side you can see out all over the Trough of Bowland towards Lancaster. So really nice place to stop. I see a lot of camper vans stopping overnight in that spot. It's a great little place. It's also the actual car park at the cattle grid faces east, so it's a great place to see the sunrise over Pendle Hill, over the sort of steep side, over the summit, the steep head of Pendle. So it's a great place to see the sunrise there. A little bit difficult to find. in that I've driven past it and it's kind of a little bit concealed by grass. It's not the easiest initially to spot, especially if you go just as the dawn was breaking like we did this morning. You definitely need a little bit of daylight to spot it, because it's kind of just nestled into the hillside. Found it. Found the well. And there's lots of that kind of marram type grass all around it. There's lots of like tall grasses, and I think if history serves me correctly, it was damaged in the Second World War during some training exercise. I believe there were some vehicles moving through. It definitely felt very, very magical. And I just sat behind it, looking down at the three little troughs, and I could just see all around, and all I could hear was the wind and the odd bird or two. It was just there's a real silence in the wind, isn't there? And there's moments of silence between each breath of the wind, and I just find that, I'm sure I must have been Charlotte Bronte in a previous life, you know. Perhaps I was one of the Brontes in a past life. But there's just something about moors, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's just a shame it's where it is. Obviously it's where it is because it used to be a path and a road for horse and carts and people walking. So its very positioning by the roadside was ideal back in its heyday, back in the day. But now it's a shame just to drive past it and almost not notice it's there. Makes it hard to visit. So water is the only God, listen to that wind. It's getting windy. Water is the only natural substance that is found in all three physical states. So you've got a solid in the form of ice, the liquid, and the gas. So we see that in morning mist, fog, steam. So its main characteristic is the ability to adapt. Water is the most yin of all elements. So summer's very, very yang. It's very dynamic, very outwardly, very energetic. Yin is more inward. Water will always find its lowest point. So it always comes to rest at its lowest point. So what is the current of our life? Where are we going? Are we kind of pushing against something, or are we trying to force something, or are we moving in the right direction for us, or does something feel off? You know, are we having to carve out a new path? So, but it's also the ability to respond to whatever arises as well. And I think maybe that feeling can be a little bit, perhaps that natural ability can be a little bit compromised at this time of year, that we might not feel quite so adaptable. We might struggle and resist or fear change, or have that sense of dread over something. So it's about really harnessing that ability to be still, be calm when needed, and to push through the rapids when needed as well. Find our flow, go with the flow, as they say. For centuries, I mean, that well, I think, was has been mentioned in the Domesday Book. It was certainly there during Roman times. The Romans passed through that area, and I believe there was some evidence of Roman lead mining in the area. The name Walloper, wall means enclosure or fortification. Oper, O-P-E-R, we find in a lot of, it's a root word that we find in a lot of words linked with work, you know, operative, operation, cooperate. So I wonder if the origin of the name comes from that. Some historians say that it means a bubbling spring. I'm not convinced.
Good work. Oh, careful.
Okay, thank you. We'll be at the old weaver's cottage for, I think it's 15 days. So the next time we see each other, that's where we'll be. So I'll be taking you with me to that on Friday. So have a good week. Stay warm. I keep hearing mixed reports. I keep hearing that we're due some more wintry weather. So stay warm, stay cozy. Do some wintering. Do some winter work. You know, preserve your energy. Oh, Brenda's.